A very good evening and a very warm welcome to State of Business on our television. I'm Savindri Jayawardena. Let's look at the top stories for the day. Food inflation rises to 95%. Government waives taxes on feminine hygiene products. News in detail. Headline inflation as measured by the year-on-year change in the Colombo Consumer Price Index increased to 69.8% in September 2022 from 64.3% in August 2022. This is as reported by the Statistics Department of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. This increase in year-on-year inflation was driven by the monthly increases of both food and non-food categories. Accordingly, year-on-year food inflation increased to 94.9% in September 2022 from 93.7% in August 2022, while year-on-year non-food inflation increased to 57.6% in September 2022 from 50.2% in August 2022. Monthly change of CCPI recorded at 3.77% in September 2022 due to price increases observed in items of both food and non-food categories, which were 0.35% and 3.42% respectively. Accordingly, within the food category, increases were observed in prices of fruits, chicken and wheat flour. However, prices of rice, dal and sugar decreased during the month. Further, within the non-food category, increases were observed in prices of housing, water, electricity, gas and other fuels, restaurants and hotels, health, education, communication and miscellaneous goods and services subcategories during the month. Meanwhile, annual average inflation rose to 33.4% in September 2022 from 28% in August 2022. The year-on-year core inflation, which reflects the underlying inflation in the economy, increased to 50.2% in September 2022 from 46.6% in August 2022, while annual average core inflation increased to 24.1% in September 2022 from 20.3% in August 2022. The government yesterday announced measures to waive duties imposed on 5 imported raw materials for locally produced sanitary napkins. The move is to make hygiene products more affordable in view of ensuring hygiene among women and schoolgirls. In addition, the government has also decided to provide tax concessions for imported finished sanitary napkins as well. A statement from the President's media office said following the move, the price of a pack of 10 sanitary napkins produced locally will be reduced by 50 to 60 rupees and the maximum retail price of a pack will be 260 to 270 rupees. Consumer retail prices of imported finished products will reduce by 18 to 19%. Manufacturers should obtain a recommendation from the Secretary to the Ministry of Industries to get the tax concessions at the import stage of the raw materials, and the mechanism has already been formulated. Customs import duty of 15%, cess duty of 10 to 15% and port and airport development levy of 10% have been waived on importation of 5 raw materials and import of intermediate goods. Locally manufactured sanitary napkins are given 0 rate of VAT. The importers of finished sanitary napkins also get the benefit of 0 rate of VAT. All these benefits are provided during the crisis period. The local manufacturers had recently requested the government to reduce the duty on the import of raw materials for sanitary napkins due to the fact that high duty levied in turn increased the price of sanitary napkins. Industry sources estimate that only 30% of the female population uses sanitary napkins and the rest opt for other options due to cost and misconceptions. A report published in March this year by the Advocata Institute noted that over 50% of women in the country experience period poverty, indicating that 50% of households with women of menstruating age do not report spending any money on sanitary napkins. At present, sanitary products in Sri Lanka are taxed at 52%, making pads and other menstrual hygiene products unaffordable for women in low-income groups of society. The situation has been further exacerbated by the rising cost of living. The value-added tax exemptions have been identified as a major driver of tax complexity and low revenue collection of the government. Sri Lanka has over 130 tax exemptions, accounting for a large proportion of the major industries in the country. There have also been frequent changes to the rate of taxation and the continuous operation of turnover taxes over the recent period. KPMG Sri Lanka tax principal Suresh Pereira maintains that VAT exemptions distort the tax to GDP ratio, as though economic activity takes place in the country, there is a lack of collection of revenue. He expressed these views while at a roundtable discussion organized by the Advocata Institute on the role of tax administration in enhancing tax revenue. On top of VAT exemptions, there are also concessional rates of tax on certain industries, driving further distortions. Pereira noted that Sri Lanka, as far back as 1998, had decided that it would be advantageous to domestic firms and industry if there were not cascading cost impacts through the tax code. He noted that in 1996, the government passed the Goods of Services Tax of 1996, which was enacted in 1998. This system looked to tax based on value added, allowing firms to interface with each other without disproportionately increasing the cost of goods sold. Pereira noted that despite the enactment of the new tax code in 1998, the government on an ad hoc basis had implemented turnover taxes to bridge the budget deficit. Pereira called for a tax ombudsman system, which was the practice that existed before and would allow for swift action on minor matters regarding tax issues in contention by two parties. Pereira criticized the frequency of tax changes in the country. Sri Lanka has had over 12 tax changes over the period in which the law was enacted. These in comparison to Singapore and New Zealand, which have only enacted 4 changes to their VAT rate. Inland Revenue Department Commissioner General Ranjit Hapuarachi noted that the idea of a tax ombudsman may help in clearing the place of resolution of tax issues. Hapuarachi noted that there were huge gaps in tax collection proportionate to GDP. Stay tuned, we will be right back after a short commercial break.
Meet your work and learn targets. Get 30 GB Meet Lite for just 195 rupees and 100 GB Meet Max for 490 rupees. Log on to My SLT app to activate. SLT Mobitel.
5-star teaching quality for 16 years straight. Edith County University in Sri Lanka offering the only full Australian degrees in commerce, software engineering, cybersecurity, biomedical science, gaming and interactive design. Enrolling now for the November 2022 intake. Call 077 3900.
Welcome back after the break. Sri Lanka's tourist arrivals fell 21% in September in comparison to August, suffering the lowest inflow for the year so far. This is significant setback to the crisis-hit industry's hope for a robust revival in the upcoming winter season. Provisional data from the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority shows that only 29,802 tourists arrived in September, largely due to the negative portrayal of the country. Industry stakeholders claim that exaggerated negative publicity was hurting industry sentiment and prospects. September arrivals fell below the previous record low of 30,207 in May, whilst placing June at the third lowest inflow with 32,856. The downturn in arrivals comes despite improvement in the political and economic environment and relaxed travel advisories in many source markets. To remedy these situations, the Sri Lanka Tourism Alliance has launched a destination marketing campaign to drive winter bookings and increase the visibility. The campaign is primarily digital, covering the entire spectrum of the travel purchase decision, emulating best practices of successful tourism destinations. Potential travellers to Sri Lanka are the target group, with UK, France, Germany, Spain, the United Arab Emirates and Gulf Cooperation Council states. A consumer campaign on multiple platforms including Facebook, Instagram, Google Display Network and YouTube video pre-roll advertisements will run over the next 3 months. Given the negative coverage that Sri Lanka has received, the SLTA created a regularly updated information portal at www.lovesrilanka.org. This page has been optimized for keywords related to Is Sri Lanka Safe, one of the main concerns of visitors. The SLTA has also strategically partnered with a number of local and global brands with the goal of increasing visibility for the country through such collaborative content-driven initiatives. Several PR initiatives are also in progress with members who have representation in key markets working together in order to profile the destination. This is currently in progress in countries such as the UK, Spain, India and Germany, among others. The impact of the travel trade overseas is significant, and in order to bolster confidence in the country, members of the Alliance have held collaborative webinars in key markets, while strategic roadshows are also being planned based on the ROI of each event. All initiatives carried out are open to all members of the SLTA, and all tourism stakeholders are invited to join the campaigns with the goal of increasing visibility for Sri Lanka and enhancing the image of the nation to global audiences. The Department of Excise has seen in its revenue dip as price hikes hit consumption of legal alcohol products. For 2022, the Department of Excise listed a revenue target of 185 billion rupees from alcohol products, and by July this year had recorded 90 billion rupees income. However, since then there has been a further drop in sales that has impacted revenue collection. Commissioner General of Excise M.G. Gunasiri told industry representatives last Friday during a meeting. Alcohol industry representatives too had outlined that it was difficult to achieve production and revenue targets for this year, as consumer purchasing power has been significantly impacted by the cost of living rise. The twin hike in the rate VAT, the new Social Security levy and bargaining operations costs due to fuel and ethanol costs were also cited as reasons. Concerns were also raised on consumers switching to illicit alcohol as the price of legal products skyrocketed. Sri Lanka has one of the highest per capita consumption of alcohol, with the majority of consumption being illicit, reports the World Health Organization. Commissioner General of Excise Gunasiri had stated that the recently introduced security sticker could help reduce illicit alcohol, but this does not take into account the hundreds of illicit liquor dens that operate around the country. The prices of petrol were reduced over the weekend by Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijesekara. Price of petrol 92 was reduced by 40 rupees per litre to 410 rupees, and that of petrol 95 by 30 rupees per litre to 510 rupees. Prices on other petroleum products will remain the same. The prices of DCSL brands of liquor has been increased by an average of 150 rupees per 750 millilitres, and two brands of cigarettes by 5 rupees per stick to 190 rupees with immediate effect. The move follows the 2.5% Social Security levy coming into force from 1st October. The levy has a cascading effect on manufacturers, wholesalers and retailers. According to the Department on Census and Statistics, headline inflation in alcoholic beverages and tobacco subcategory in September was 39.4% as against 35.6% in August. A $6 million grant agreement to support people affected by COVID-19 was signed between the Ministry of Public Administration and COICA. The Department of External Resources is also a stakeholder to the agreement, which covers the central and Uva provinces. The Cabinet having provided approval, the Ministry of Public Administration, headed by the Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena, and the South Korea Cooperation Agency signed an agreement to strengthen the socio-economic resilience of people affected by the COVID pandemic. The project is expected to improve drinking water, sanitation, personal hygiene and primary health care. It also aims to reduce post-harvest damage while increasing food security and household income. COICA has agreed to provide a $6 billion grant for this project, which will be implemented from 2022 to 2025. The project will be implemented in Nuwara Eliya, Balapane, Hanguranketha, Kothmale and Amagamu Divisional Secretariat Divisions of Nuwara Eliya District and Mahiyangane, Ridi Maliyadda, Haldumulla, Badulla, Valimada and Bandarawala Divisional Secretariat Divisions of Badulla District. Accordingly, 72,400 families in Nuwara Eliya District and 19,350 families in Badulla District will be benefited. The United Nations Human Settlements Programme or UN Habitat is responsible for implementing this on behalf of the Sri Lankan government. Coordination of the entire project has been assigned to the Ministry of Public Administration, Home Affairs, Provincial Councils and Local Government. The agreement was signed by Secretary to the Ministry Priyantha Maya Dunne and by COICA Country Director Kim Moon Jin. Stay tuned for stock updates after this break.
Meet your work and learn targets. Get 30 GB Meet Lite for just 195 rupees and 100 GB Meet Max for 490 rupees. Log on to My SLT app to activate. SLT Mobitel.
Welcome back after the break. The trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a negative note today. As set out in the SEC directive dated 30th April 2022, the market was halted due to the S&P SL20 dropping over 5% from the previous close. The All Share Price Index dropped 281.21 points to close at 9,649.86 and the S&P SL20 dropped 116.46 points to close at 3,048.87. The turnover was 2.5 billion rupees and over 125 million shares were traded. Up next are Forex Rates. And that's all news for today. For this and more, subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook. Take care and good night.